Today is October 9th. Welcome on into Daily Cards Live here on ClaibsOnline.com. Brought to you by Mungenast, St. Louis Acura, Royal Banks, Missouri, and also Fast Eddie's Bon Air this postseason. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Bob Ramsey. And Rammer, unfortunately, this is, the last daily cards that we will be doing, talking about the St. Louis Cardinals for the 2022 season. Of course, all month long, and anytime Cardinal news breaks, we will bring it your way. But Cardinals lose yesterday 2-0 in Game 2 of the Wild Card Series, and it just as quick as it started, it ended for the Redbirds, and that offense just never showed up.
The offense didn't show up, and there are two things that are the takeaway, I think. One is no offense. One that's 1A. 1B is with your big three, but especially Goldschmidt and Arenado not doing anything. You can't make mistakes, and the two, the Cardinals gave away Game 1, and they should be playing today. They should have won. They should have closed out and won Game 1. That's a management mistake. But if you're not hitting, you're not ultimately going to win anyway. So I don't. But I want to be clear. I don't want to excuse the errors that were made on Friday. Because we've seen in Goldschmidt's career, he can go into a slump like that for no apparent reason and come out of it like that for no apparent reason. He'd been in one for 5 weeks, and we've seen him have slumps 8 or 9 or 10 weeks before. But then sometimes it'll just come out of it. Nobody, and that includes the hardcore fans, nobody's more disappointed than a pro like Goldschmidt and a pro like Arenado. Small consolation to them, the team, the fans. There's no consolation. You lost, and it's over.
It just went so quick if a guy is slumping during the regular season, it might last a few weeks. And we saw that all September. Goldschmidt was slumping in all of September. I think hit 229 in the final month of the season. But you saw all of that just sped up, fast forward how much he was slumping in the two games. Because on Friday afternoon, the first few at-bats against Wheeler, you could see him kind of start and stop, and you're looking at it, you're going, this really seems like a guy that's not picking up the ball out of the pitcher's hand. And that happens. I mean, there are, pitchers and batters both ways. There are batters that just can't see the ball off of a guy, and then, that same pitcher, some guy that hits $180 could, hit 700 against him because he sees something the other guy can't. And I didn't know if the excuse was the shadows or the pitcher. And then yesterday, the very first pitch that Aaron Nola threw to Paul Goldschmidt, he did the exact same thing. And I thought, he is not seeing this at all, and this is not good.
Well, the thing is, again, Goldschmidt is known for prolonged slumps. Generally, there are some exceptions, like this year. They come at the beginning of the year. And then he has long, outrageous, productive periods. Well, from the third week of April through the month of August, that was Hall of Fame level hitting. And then it just stopped again. And we've seen that throughout his career. That's who he is. It's unfortunate for him and the team that it came when he did. I know a lot of folks don't like Alex Rodriguez, but if you listen to him, he had a lot of good insight over the last couple of nights. And one was that Goldschmidt ultimately was trying to do too much and then finally over-swinging. And his swing didn't even look like the same swing that he would be taking in June, July, and August.
He was guessing. Yeah, that last at-bat, he was guessing and thought, maybe if I just swing the bat, maybe I'll run into one. That's what that was.
And Arenado wasn't kind of flailing and reaching like Goldschmidt was. He was close, but he caught no breaks. But that's part of a slump too.
I mean, and yeah, that's, sometimes that's how big. I mean, look, with the hardest hit ball that the Phillies had in their 6-run inning on Friday, I think was 85 miles an hour. That's, and they score 6 runs off of that being their hardest hit ball. Nolan Arenado he had one hit in the 2 games, but he had 3 others that if they're playing in July or August, they're home runs. Those ball, and you're looking at that and going, wow, that's, what a series for Nolan Arenado. 3 home runs. My goodness.
And missed a double, robbed of a double down the line.
Yeah. So you are, it's the Ron Washington saying that's how baseball goes sometimes. It just is.
Most of us try to avoid finding consolation in other people's woes, but sometimes misery loves company. And the Blue Jays should have won yesterday. And how did they lose? Nits, little cuts, 1,000 cuts, and then 2 guys run into each other in the outfield. The game should have been over.
Yeah,
over with a really nice victory, and instead they lose. So there's bad luck to go around. Again, misery sometimes loves company, but it again, not much of a consolation.
Pitching side of things, as we talked about, Jose Quintana was outstanding. Jordan Hicks came in two times in 2 games and pitched really well. Giovanni Gallegos also, he was lights out in his 2 appearances. Jordan Montgomery came in, and as Miles Michaelis said, he cleaned up his mess, and then he went out there and he threw a lot of high leverage pitches.
He was good
in his 2 2/3 innings that he pitched yesterday. And really, I think, that was a nice way for him to end the season after the way that he struggled the last month. He's going to be a big piece to this team next year in that starting rotation.
I think so too. And really, if the Cardinals didn't hit, the pitching was pretty good. Yeah. I mean, you look at the numbers and you say, oh, Palante, he was put in an untenable situation and he didn't catch any breaks. He's a ground ball guy. He got ground balls.
Yeah.
And Helsley, blew up, but he should have only, in my view, pitched 1 inning. And that first inning, he was great. So the pitching failures I put on management. I thought the pitching was darn good.
We will have another show, I'm sure, down the line to talk about next year. But getting to see Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina get singles in their final at-bats and both be removed, it's one of those things that you can hold on to that memory of, as something to look back on, and a good way for both of them to go out. Their numbers will be on the wall at Busch Stadium the next time we probably see them at Busch Stadium, and they will be in Cooperstown being inducted into the Hall of Fame in 5 years. Yeah. All of the other question marks regarding next season, I know until it's all signed and opted in, I mean, you are going to have people out there, you are going to have pessimists out there that are going to sit here and they are going to think that Nolan Arenado is going to opt out of his deal. He has said many times he is not going to. Maybe the Cardinals rework something with that and make sure that that option is not there anymore for him. But you need to find an everyday catcher now moving forward. And you need to kind of figure out, even if they are in your system, figure out who they are, but they need to figure out all the other holes that they have around the field and figure out who your everyday starting 8 are, or at least give you a starting 10 that you are confident with day in and day out. Is that Nolan Gorman? Is that Jordan Walker? Where does Brendan Donovan fit in? There are so many questions looking ahead to next year.
Yeah, a couple of the things, and we'll have all winter to break it down. So you lose Pujols, which was your best player in the second half, your DH. You need a DH. If you tell me, well, we're going to platoon Gorman and Yepez, that's a reasonable in-house decision. But if you do, you better get a bona fide bat to catch and maybe an outfielder. If not, if you're going to say, well, those guys will be in the mix somewhere, and you go get a legitimate left-hand, no offense meant, not a Corey Dickerson, but a legitimate everyday left-handed hitter who can hit somewhere 2 through 5 in a good lineup. I think those are the things that have to be addressed first.
Yeah, we will. And again, I haven't even looked at who free agents are this offseason. Haven't
We
even
know
looked at the
Contreras.
list. Yeah, he is out there, and I think, man, that would that would make an awful lot of Cubs fans upset if if Wilson Contreras makes his way down to St. Louis to be the heir apparent to Yadier Molina, and it could be a lot of fun the first time the Cardinals go up to Wrigley next year. And of course, I mean, we know in years past all of the trades that John Mozeliak has made and put together to bring in people that we never suspect that you never knew was an option out there.
I think for our purposes, talking about free agent possibilities are the only real legitimate things to talk about, because who would have ever, if somebody did propose the Carson Kelly for Paul Goldschmidt, I'd like to hear it. That came out of nowhere. If somebody wants to talk about the Austin Gomber for Nolan Gorman plus $50 million, I'd like to hear who had that one figured out. So trying to guess trades, it's really a waste of time.
And plus, I mean, to think too, I mean, we're sitting here, 9 days into October. If you would have said in November of both of those off seasons that, yeah, the Cardinals they're going to trade for Goldie, they're going to trade for Arenado, never would have thought that was, that was a possibility until it happened.
On talk radio, we just hung up on them.
Yeah, that's your fault for taking callers on the air to begin with. So the phone lines are poison, Rammer. Just remember that. We will, but hey, we have one more series to wrap up tonight in the wild card round, and then we'll be along the way sporadically here throughout the month of October and into the first week of November here on Claibs Online, talking baseball and talking postseason all month long. And it'll be brought to you by Fast Eddie's Bonaire, Royal Banks of Missouri, and Mungenast St. Louis Acura. Rammer, I have to drive back to Mungenast Alton Toyota tomorrow and take back that Sienna that they gave me.
Didn't put a lot of miles on it.
I'll tell you what, though, you drive one of those for about a day or two, and it's one of those you kind of want to go in there and you want to start maybe a little negotiation, a little back and forth with Jamie Burkhart there at Mungenast and see what kind of price you can get on that, because tell you what, the screens are nice and big, the seating, the space, and a lot of cup holders in those Siennas too.
Mungenast now go, when you bring it back, say, well, you got to come off the price. It's used now. I drove it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
24 hours. 24 hours. I drove it hard.
I really appreciate our sponsors. Royal Banks and Mungenast have been with us all year. Fast Eddie's, thanks for joining us in postseason. It's great for you folks being on board with us, and we really do appreciate it. For those who follow us and everybody on Claibs Online, there's so much good product on Claibs Online. Continue to follow us, and we'll keep delivering for you.
You got basketball season, 2-man game coming right around the corner with Billikens, NBA, and everything in between. Plus the Dr. Rick podcast that you guys have each and every week now as well. Claibs and I will be out at Mungenast Alton Toyota tomorrow. We're just I'm gonna bring the car back to him, and we're just gonna sit there and we're gonna do the lunch show. So it works out well. Maybe we'll do it from inside of that Sienna. Time will tell on that. But that's going to do it for us today. For Bob Ramsey, I am Joe Roderick. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
From our roots in St. Louis, Royal Banks of Missouri is branching out to continue serving you with our locations in St. Charles, Jerseyville, Granite City, and now in Hannibal, Center, and New London. Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank in your community.